I'm here with Davey Muise, and just finished playing a set. Yet another night. I'm not trying to downplay or underestimate, but you didn't have an easy childhood growing up.
No, not really.
How does or did your childhood make you the person that you are today?
I've been a firm believer always, and something that my mom taught me when I was pretty young is that like everything kind of happens for a reason, and it's about what you like. It's not like sitting back and doing nothing about it. It's about kind of what you do with those reasons. And I always look back on things that I've gone through in my life, both like things I was born into and then things that are sort of self-inflicted, and everything put me where I am today. Everything put me in this room, in this venue, doing what I'm doing today. So it's hard for me to look back and have any sort of anger towards anything I've ever gone through. I'm thankful for the outcome. I'm thankful that I did make it through everything I've made it through, and I'm continuing to make it through everything I've made it through, and I think that a lot of that has to do with each situation that I put myself in. Though it may have been negative in some way, I threw myself into a situation that somewhere in there was a little positive notion that got me to the next negative situation, and got me out of that. And kind of, as I've gone, everything I've thrown myself into that may have seemed like a mistake led to where I am today. And I'm really grateful that I had the life I had. And in no way do I want to pretend that my life was any different than anyone else that goes through a lot of hard stuff. And I had a lot of great things happen in my life as well. So I guess for every negative thing, like I was saying, there's that positive reaction to it, that whether I choose to see it or believe it or not is there and is happening. And that's kind of happened ever since the minute I was born. Born into negativity that forced me somewhere positive. So I think that's kind of how I look at everything in my life, is that whether I want to search for the good in the bad, it's going to happen anyways. And I'm just really grateful for being able to have a balance in both.
And why is it important that you share this with kids you either sing to or talk to?
I think for me, and the one thing that I always think back on, is that how alone I felt when I was going through everything. And honestly, it was a lot of me pushing so many people away that I ended up alone, because I pushed everybody away from me to the point where no one wanted to be around me. I wish I had someone or something that I don't even know, could look towards, I looked up to, or anything to tell me that what you're going through is kind of normal, and that we all actually deal with this sort of stuff, and that people have made it through. Because the only people I knew about are musicians that have ended their own lives, or went down the same roads I was, doing drugs and not caring about their lives. And I didn't have a person to just someone I could look to be oh, I can do it because they're doing it. I had friends and people that ended up reaching out to me and helping me dig out of what I was going through, and I had to get strong for myself too. But I feel morally obligated to music, because music's what saved my life. I had a friend very kind of harshly tell me that the only thing I'm good at is being on a stage and yelling at kids, and to keep doing that, because that's the only thing I'm good at. And it took him saying that for me to realize that music is the one thing in my life that has never given up on me, never turned its back on me, and it saved my life. Inevitably, being in bands and playing shows, recording records, and eventually touring saved my life. It gave me something to do. It gave me purpose. And I feel like for years, even in this band, I kind of just cruised on it and just was yeah, I'm in a band, school, whatever. And then I started seeing kids come to the show that were relating with our lyrics and other bands' lyrics, and just have band tattoos and over their scars, and these things, kids saying that they saved their lives, and them crying, and I saw myself in every single one of these kids, and was I literally have to speak up. I have to say something because if I don't, like, you know, that's the whole thing about depression and suicide, it goes untalked about so much that we lose people because no one said anything. And how easy is it to just step out of your comfort zone a little bit and talk about something that's kind of awkward and weird? So I just kind of made a decision that I just was, and it's not a very popular decision. I have a lot of people at home that make fun of me and a lot of people that think I'm corny because I truly believe that, like, music can change your life. And I've seen it, I'm living proof, and I've seen it with so many kids that go to our shows. I just kind of decided, like, well, I'm just going to do everything in my power to let kids know that they're not alone, that even though our situations might be different. Hell, I've talked to kids that their situations, like, blow my mind and make my childhood upbringing seem like a white picket fence, you know? But I just want them to know that they're not alone, and if I was able to do the thing that I loved, and my point is that, like, it doesn't matter, I'm touring in a punk rock band, but it doesn't matter what I wanted to do, I'm living my dream. So if your dream is being in the NBA, if your dream is being a teacher, whatever that is, like, you can do what you want to do and live your dream, you know, and you just got to believe in yourself, and you got to, you know, that self-believement gets you over a lot of things. So I guess that's kind of just, like, when I go out there every night, like, yeah, I want kids to, like, have a release and have fun. I want kids to sing along. You know, of course, I want you to, you know, buy T-shirts and records. But more importantly, I just want you to know that, like, I went through the same thing you're going through, man, and you're gonna be cool as long as you work on it, and as long as you try, you're gonna be okay. You know what I mean? And if you don't think you're gonna be okay, you have, you know, 5 dudes on the stage. You have countless amounts of songs to listen to. You have so many other bands that you also swing through your area that would be willing to sit down and talk with you. We're not the beauty is we're not the only kind. I'm not the only person like this. There's so many people in this world that really care. Because we are just you. We're just older and now on a stage with a microphone. That's it. There's no difference. And that's kind of what we just want everyone to know is that, like, and you know, reaching out past, like, the stage and clubs, me going to high schools, it's just another way. It's just another show. It's another stage for me to get on and yell at kids because that's all I'm good at, you know. And since I've started doing it, like, right now I'm on tour and I, like, miss going to high schools and hanging out with kids. Then when I'm doing that, I miss going on tour. So I know what I'm doing is I love and is right, because when I'm doing one, I'm missing the other. But yeah, just kind of like the high schools is just an extension of me. You know, it's my other show. You know, it's my other thing, and you know, I love it, and it's just important to let these kids know that they're not alone. You know, we're all messed up, but we're all together in it. You know,
Nobody's perfect.
No one at all.
Not even close.
Far from it.
Not even close.
Far from it. Yeah.
So growing up, what songs or what bands or, you know, I agree with you that music does have a very saving force. Mm-hmm. So what did you grow up listening to that was really helpful?
I guess early on, I had great parents, which I think my generation, like, I'm 30, so, like, right around our generation of, like, our parents, like, when they were our, like, you know, like, young, the music was so good, so cool. So, like, of course, like, growing up, my mom would, you know, play, like, you know, Black Sabbath and Zeppelin and, like, The Who and, like, just great music. So I think I, like, got started in, like, really good, like, rock and roll.
So you're lucky.
Yes, I'm lucky. I got that. And then my stepfather was a drummer, so he was just all about music. So, like, I immersed myself in, you know, everything he listened to. And he, oddly enough, I was sort of getting into, like, punk rock when my stepfather met my mom. He was actually my drum teacher. That's how they met. And he was, like, in, like, punk rock. He was in the whole punk rock scene. He knew, like, tons of bands and stuff. So he'd bring me to shows and, like, just go to these things with me. And then I started kind of listening to, like, you know, like, early on I listened to, like, Nirvana and, like, Pantera and, like, Metallica. And just, like, it was cool because, like, I always attached myself to the lyrics right away. That's the first thing I noticed. The first thing I always noticed was, like, the drums and vocals and what the vocalist was saying and doing. And it just, like, got me, like, loving, like, I always say, like, I used to, like, sit in my mirror and play air guitar and pretend I was Kurt Cobain, or, like, pretend I was Phil from Pantera and stomp around
That's our generation, and it's totally okay.
Yeah, and that's what got me here, is I, like, listening to all that music, being like, I want to do this. this makes me happy. I'm in this element. I'm the happiest I've ever been. And I still listen to all like everything I grew up on. I still listen to. It's funny. I was wearing a Pantera hat at a show a couple weeks ago, and the kid walked up to the merch table. I was like, "Oh, Pantera." I was like, "Yeah, man." He was like, "My dad listens to them." I was like, "Your dad and I have that in common."
Your dad's cool.
Your dad is a pretty cool guy. And then we were driving, and I was listening to I have like a gym playlist that has like a bunch of like Pantera and Metallica and a bunch of like whatever. And I was listening to it while we were driving, and we had a photographer out with us, and she was like, she's younger, she's like mid-20s, and she was just like, "You're such a dad, just driving, like listening to dad rock," and I'm like, I guess.
Ouch.
I know. I think I've officially made that transition into like that world. I know. I guess.
So how did you make the transition from preschool teacher to lead singer to public speaker? Because I can see teacher to public speaker.
Right.
Well, in between.
So I've always been in band since I was in high school, and I worked at my mom had a daycare growing up, worked at the YMCA, and I always knew kids were like my thing, my passion was like, youth, even when I was a youth. And I started teaching at a school in my early 20s, and I was in a band and like touring on my vacation time and during the summer a little bit, and my school was closing down, and right when Vanna pretty much asked me to join the band, and literally it was so weird. They asked me, and I was like, I can't leave all this stuff or whatever, and the school closed, and I just kind of took it as a sign. And I think that having that, growing up with just people who work with kids, with teachers, and they have very, very big hearts, and they never get thanked for their jobs. And I watched my mom. Yeah, I watched my mom and my stepfather. They were both educators, and just a thankless job, but they do really enjoy it. So, I loved doing it in high school, and I just was like, this is what I want to do for a career, But touring in a band is very much the same thing. If you think about it, we're on a stage, and our lives are in front of all these kids. And it's sort of our responsibility that if we have a voice to use it, just like a teacher would in the classroom, if you have a voice, use it, Try to teach these kids, and I'm just trying to teach them that, it's okay to be who you are, and it's cool to be an individual. And then transitioning into, speaking, I just kind of told my life story at this cool, camping retreat that we did, and some people heard it, and they really enjoyed it, and kind of started me on this path of you need to take what you do on stage and take it to schools and take it everywhere. So it's kind of funny that when I speak at schools, when we send my bio, the teachers get everything, and I'm sure they're like, "Oh my God, who is this?" But then they see that he's a former preschool teacher, and I think that once you meet me, I think it's easy to be this makes sense too. I always say that when I get on stage, I flip this switch, and I'm this different guy that I need to let out, But then when I'm done from it, I'm kind of a calm individual and stuff. And I think that what I do at schools now is a little bit of both, Davies. I think it's a little bit of that, nurturing classroom. I did preschool, so these kids were very, very young. Yeah, I couldn't yell at them in a microphone. I had to just talk softly to them. No, I don't think they'd appreciate that. No, but I think it's a little bit of both. So I get to combine my two worlds of what I love to do into one. And I was talking to my mom about it, and she kind of made me realize that she's like, "Yeah, this in a way you're still teaching." And I was like, "Yeah, wow." It's true. Though the first time I stepped foot back in high school, when my first high school speaking gig was terrifying. But now I feel really comfortable there. In fact, I feel comfortable there to the point where I miss teaching. I go in there and I'm like, oh man, I miss the camaraderie between teachers, and all the teachers, all the schools I've gone to, they're incredible, and the teachers are doing such great things at all these schools that I'm so psyched I can be a part of for one day. Each school I go to, I want to apply to the staff and work there. Every single school I go to, I'm I want to work with you guys. I want to live here. And then I go to another school and I'm I want to live here. I want to work here. It's cool. It's really cool to get back in there. So, and who knows what the next transition would be. I've already, kind of started thinking about some things that I want to do, and I have some cool stuff that I really want to start setting up. And I think it's like getting to the point where I'm going to start having the time to be able to like start up a nonprofit and something that I really am like passionate about. So I'm working on that. So the next transition, who knows what it will be, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see what will come out of everything. I mean, if nothing else, every trip I do, every school, every event that I speak at, every college I speak at, I learn something every single time about myself and kind of the world around me, and I'm getting taught by all of these kids every day, which is cool because it's just like that. It shows every day I'm learning something new, and I'm feeling a different feeling from these kids. So I don't think I could ever do anything that wasn't a give and take sort of situation. I'm not a 9-to-5 desk job guy. I don't think I'll ever be that guy. And there are those guys out there and girls out there, and it's awesome that they can do that because everyone has a purpose in the world. I just can't. I'm not a desk guy. I'm on the desk and walking around the desk and standing on the desk.
Yeah.
That's
not
that's
sitting behind it.
Yeah. All my teachers in high school, middle school can attest to that. Like Dave is definitely not a sit down in a seat guy. I would get good grades, but my comments would just be paragraphs of just like, needs to focus more, needs to have better attention, socializes too much is the comment on every report card. Every teacher, I'd have good grades and then socializes too much, socializes too much, socializes too much. So I think that was a clear sign that kind of stuff isn't meant for me.
Yeah, you're not an introvert.
No.
And you mentioned charity work, and you already work with the foundation.
Yes.
Correct? Tell me a little bit about that.
I work with a nonprofit called Hope for the Day. We're a nonprofit that focuses on suicide awareness and depression awareness because I feel like, and the founder Johnny, who's an amazing human being, I feel like the problem with suicide and depression, and the root of everything is no one talks about it. There's tons of all these outlets for it and phone numbers and stuff, and everything is so hidden. And kids
very at like arm's distance.
Yeah,
and there's no face to it.
You know what it is? Kids are ashamed that they're sad. And it's crazy because it's a normal human emotion that we deal with. And that normal human emotion for everybody else, for some people, is so amplified and insane. And then on top of that, they're embarrassed to even discuss it. So Hope for the Day is putting suicide and putting depression not in your face, but in the open, just to be like, hey, this exists. Talk to somebody. Not if you have issues. If you're like feel good about yourself and feel everything, and like you're like a pretty okay person, and you don't deal with that stuff, find someone who can deal with that kind of stuff and talk to them. Just talk to them. Literally, I know so many kids that we have worked with, adults too, that just need someone to say, how's your day, man? How are you doing? What's going on with you? Like, are you cool? And it's about starting a conversation with people. And it's amazing because we've had volunteer workers, and we've seen people on Warped Tour that they'll be there for the whole day talking to these kids, asking these kids if they're okay. And the kids talk it out, they cry it out, and they feel better. And they're like, then that's the point where you can focus on what will make my life better. Instead of like, medicating, what can I do to like make stuff better? And then those volunteers leave later, and they're just like, that was amazing. I want to talk to more people. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Because now you can go out and talk to anybody and just make someone's day just by saying hello. So it's kind of like, we're not like PMA all day. We know that like some days are hard. But it's okay to say, I'm having a hard day today. It's okay to be like, I'm sad today. Today sucks. That's okay. And everyone that works with Hope for the Day has dealt with anxiety and suicide and depression in one way or another. Garrett did a lot of work. Garrett did a lot of work with us this summer. So we're doing a lot of really cool stuff. And our focus is we do it through the music scene, whether that be hip-hop, whether that be hardcore, pop, metal, whatever that may be. We are sponsoring tours and just letting kids know that like it's okay to be sad because tomorrow is a chance to be happy. So that's kind of like one of my platforms that I try to bring to schools. And the cool thing about Hope for the Day is that if you want to talk to somebody, there is an 800 number that you can call that we work with, and what they do is they dispatch you to a place that wherever you live. They like will see where you live, and they'll go, cool, there's a place 15 minutes away from you. It's free. Call them tomorrow and go talk to someone. And it's just like, and most of the centers that we work with are just like, you walk in and it's just like a living room and just like people are like, hey, what's up? Can I talk? Let's talk. So it's a really comfortable atmosphere. So it's like raising awareness, making sure people know about it, but also like focusing them somewhere to go, hey, there's people right here that are here to literally help you out with whatever you got. So yeah, it's a really important organization, and it's starting to spread and blossom. It's just so cool to see something that like my friend Johnny just had an idea one day and just started it. And we talked about it. I was like, I want to be a part of that, man, and just expanding. So it's awesome.
Well, it's great that you guys are able to find a way to make it out in the open, but still approachable. So that's really important to teenagers.
Yeah, because I mean, we're not here to ridicule anybody. We're not here to be like, look, this guy's sad. It's just okay to be like, let your friends know and let everybody know.
Perfect.
Exactly. We are all flawed in one way or another, and this is just a way for you to feel comfortable to talk to anybody. And the amount of kids that we got to talk to. I mean, I would go by the tent on Warped Tour, and I'd go by there, and then like 6 hours would pass by, and I'd still be there, just not even realizing that I'm still at that tent talking to all these kids. So I hope that we start getting and branching out to other places. I know I'm trying to bring it to a lot of schools and help out with that. So hope for the day. Yeah.
We'll stay tuned for a lot more from Davey Muise. This is Jackie. Thanks to All Access and Inthekeyofchange. Yeah, we're gonna have to find a way because unfortunately, in my school in the past 2 weeks, there has been